Hey, welcome back to Everyday Economics. It's the podcast that helps you learn about the economic world happening around you every day. I'm your host, Chris Krug, CEO of the 501c3 nonprofit Franklin News Foundation. Everyday Economics is a production of America's Talking Network. You can listen to all of our podcasts at americastalking.com. To support Everyday Economics, please make a tax-deductible charitable contribution by clicking the link in the show description. We're recording today's episode on Friday, January 10th, 2025. And joining me, as always, my friend, my colleague, and the co-host of Everyday Economics, Dr. Orphe Divounguy. He's a PhD economist. Look at that guy. He's sharp. He's
You're so
handsome.
generous, man.
Unbelievable.
You are funny, Chris.
You are the modern Renaissance man.
It's always my pleasure to come out and do the show with you. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm glad we're able to keep going.
Yeah, well, I appreciate what you do. We're taping this on Friday, January 10th, and I think we are at this point now. I think we are 4 days into the wildfires in Southern California, specifically in Los Angeles County, and I have to tell you, I am absolutely heartbroken. I've had an opportunity to spend some time, in that part of the world, very specifically in Palisades, and it's just unbelievable to see what's happened to that town, and the fire just keeps going. So without being cutesy, I mean, sincerely, our thoughts and our prayers to everybody involved in what's going on in Pacific Palisades and throughout Los Angeles that's dealing with this. It's beyond imagination. There is an economic hook to this. I mean, of course, life's a hell of a lot more important. But the conversations around insurance and insurance viability.
Yes.
I think it's worth having a conversation about that because a lot of people are talking about that right now. And insurers, they certainly have to work, at a regulatory level with the states in which they do business. And there have been some things that have occurred legislatively, at a regulatory level. I believe validated or necessitated by legislation in California that has made insuring homes in Southern California very, very, very difficult. There have been a number of companies who've left, who are no longer insuring at the levels that they were prior. And not writing new policies, which is sort of the way that this works. So, the economics of this. Let's.
Why don't we start with the fact that when the risk goes up, somebody's got to pay for that, and basically a lot of these companies thought, what, instead of hiking premiums for everybody, we might as well just pull out of some of these markets. And they did. And so now with California mandating that insurance companies go ahead and insure homes in these high risk areas, potentially insurance premiums will actually go up. Especially in areas where housing is already extremely expensive. And I mean, all you have to do is go to places like Zillow and look at the area. It's a vast area that was affected I looked about 2 days ago. We were nearly 10,000 homes were in the perimeter of the fire. And they're expensive homes. The typical home value in that market is in the $3, $4, $5 million. It's not.
Yes.
Very few homes in that area cost under $1 million, and right. So you have a very expensive place to insure,
Mm-hmm.
because the losses are huge. Which again, the wildfires, these kind of these events that have been plaguing California for a long time, but I think maybe have intensified as of late. Um, are becoming a major concern for potential home buyers, for the people who live there, but also for people who were even considering moving to the area. Um, and I think that's why, it's, I think it's insurance. I saw an interesting post by somebody who uh, works in that space, the climate space, about if we weren't paying attention before, insurance cost is how we start to pay attention.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, I'm not sure how much climate had to do with this particular fire. I mean, the fact that they can't get water to the fire or they don't have water available, I think is, maybe it could stand up as maybe one of the like lowest moments, I think, in American political history. So I don't know. So what happens
I
in a
mean, I saw
in,
it.
in a situation like this? I mean, I mean, where like it's like, is
Well, yeah,
California
I mean,
uninsurable now? I mean, what? Where,
no, no. What you have is basically it's a supply and demand story. Like, demand is going to respond, right? So far, what we've seen is people continue to move to areas that are, if you look at all the risk maps, that are high risk areas, partly because they're around big job centers. There are so many pull factors. Everybody wants to live in California, in Southern California. Might be dry, but people still want to live there. It's beautiful. People want to live next to the coast. People want to live where the jobs are at, and so they move to uh, earthquake-prone zones like San Francisco. And so you still have these massive pull factors pulling people to those regions. But the big question is, as these events intensify, and if they're as common and they become even more common over time, will that deter moves to the coast? Will we start to see housing demand and maybe even businesses relocating to other parts of the country? If we begin to see that, then I think builders' supply of housing will move with it. But in the short run, it will make things more expensive. In the short run, we're going to see a pullback in supply in the region. In the short run, we're going to see insurance cost increase in the region. And so those expensive markets are likely to get even more expensive.
yeah, I think that's probably about as good a summation as could be offered. I appreciate your thoughts, Dr. Rowe. Great to be with you. For Orphe Divounguy, this has been Chris Krug. Subscribe to Everyday Economics at americastalking.com.